I do not teach substitution, and I don't use substitution. I've dabbled, I've played with it in my earlier years. The reason that I don't really like substitution as a method or a technique is because, first of all, I just don't think it's very healthy to reopen a wound or dig up something from your past and relive it in order to create some emotional life. I just don't think it's the healthiest way to work. I just believe in healing our traumas and things, right? I think healing is what makes us whole and actually puts us in a place where we can safely access a whole spectrum of emotional life when we're whole and healed and we know how to emotionally process our own life. The other reason why I don't like substitution is because it takes you completely out of the moment. So if you and I are in a scene and maybe we're experiencing a breakup, the scene calls for me to be really emotional or cry, and I start thinking about my dog that died, well, you and I are not living in the same moment now. I'm totally somewhere else. I'm not here present with you. And so I believe in emotional preparation on the given circumstances, on the imaginary circumstances. So if the circumstances given in the script are that you and I are going through a breakup and the character that I'm playing becomes really emotional, well, that tells me that the character I'm playing really cares about what it is that they're losing. And so my emotional preparation would be on being in love with you, not being able to imagine my life without you, and then really, truly living through the breakup, unanticipated moment to unanticipated moment. We can't prepare on what happens in a scene because we don't know what's going to happen, right? If we're really living through it, the character doesn't know how the scene is going to end. And so, yeah, there's a part of you that knows, but there's a part of you that has to unknow how things are going to work out for you. So your preparation can only take you to the door. It can only take you to your entrance, right? So you can prepare on what you want to happen, what you hope happens, what's at stake for you, what are the consequences if things don't work out the way that you want, and then you have to live through each moment. And as we deal with the obstacle that's between us and the thing we want, emotional life is organically created. And so now I'm having a truthful response to something that's really happening. And you and I are living in the same moment and in the same scene. So I would encourage you, instead of substitution, to start exercising your imagination. It's the greatest tool you have as an actor. There is an exception, but it's not really substitution. But whenever I suggest actors do this, they always say, oh, you mean like substitution? And so this is my way of saying, no, it's not substitution, but let me explain. So whenever you are talking about or to, because that could be in a phone call, an off-screen character, cast them. Okay, if it's somebody that the audience doesn't meet, then you have to cast them because you have to know who you're talking to, because we're different with different people. So don't just have an idea of a character, just like I would never want you to play an idea of a character. I want you to choose a real living, breathing human being that you have a similar relationship with, that you would have a similar emotional response with. So cast somebody in that role. So now you're dealing with a real person instead of an idea. And this is even for auditions. So if you're auditioning and you don't know who they've cast as the person that you're talking to in the scene, if that hasn't been cast yet, then you cast them. Cast a person from your life, or cast an actor that you know that you've worked with that would play that role that maybe affects you in that way, or you feel that kind of relationship with, and let that be the person that you're talking to and see what you discover. Because I guarantee you it's going to be a lot more nuanced and a lot more real than if you just are bouncing lines back and forth with the reader and you're not really living in a relationship with another character. So cast off-screen characters. So in that sense, I guess some actors would say that's substitution, but it's not really substitution. Because if, let's say, the thing you're auditioning for is to have a scene with Amy Adams, then you cast Amy Adams in that role. Amy Adams as that character, right, is going to be different than Emily Blunt as that character, is going to be different than Anne Hathaway as that character, right? Everyone's going to bring their own selves to the character. And so it's that actor as that character. So in the same way, if you don't know who that person is, then you cast somebody specific and play around with it. I would encourage you to play with casting different people and see how different it makes your performance. And now what's great about that is now your performance is coming from a place of a stimulus, of something outside of you. So it's not just ideas that you're coming up with in your head. You're actually in discovery because your attention is off yourself. It's on whatever your person you're imagining in front of you, right? And so now you're reacting to that rather than just playing a bunch of lines the way you rehearse them, which isn't going to feel real or authentic or in the moment at all. And there's not going to really be anything for you to discover because now you're just delivering a performance that you prepared, which is really different than really living in the moment and doing moment-to-moment work.